20 years in prison for swatting. This dude, convicted, sentenced, got a guy killed. Swatting is not a game. It is not a joke, and it is extremely dangerous. For those that aren't familiar, I'm assuming many of you know what swatting is, but it's a reference to SWAT, the SWAT team for the police. What they do is they use various technologies. You can spoof text messages or phone calls. They pretend to be someone in your house and they tell the police something insane. So the police rush to your home, guns ablazing, rifles drawn, full armor, tactical gear. For some reason, this is huge in like the gaming and streaming community. We see it happen all the time, and it seems like it's getting worse. Apparently what happened, this dude, someone asked him to SWAT somebody. He got the wrong address because how can you verify? It's just someone online doing research. The police showed up. The dude at this house had no idea what was going on. Walks outside, shot and killed. Can you blame the police? Honestly, you have to recognize when something like this happens, when the police are called and told there's a hostage situation, so excuse me, someone's going to die, someone's armed, they're in panic mode. And so this innocent guy gets killed. This guy is the one who committed the crime. Let's read what happened. A California man was sentenced Friday to 20 years in prison for making bogus emergency calls to authorities across the U.S. And so we have this photo here. It says, Tyler Barris of California appears for a preliminary hearing in Wichita, Kansas. He pleaded guilty to 51 charges related to fake emergency calls and threats. He will be sentenced in federal court in Wichita Friday, which was yesterday. So they announced he's getting 20 years. Where was I? California man was sentenced Friday to 20 years in prison for making bogus emergency calls, including one that led police to fatally shoot a Kansas man following a dispute between two online players over a $1.50 bet in the Call of Duty World War II video game. Listen, people like to talk about online radicalization as other stupid nonsense. No. People get radicalized because they get radicalized. People get radicalized because they seek things out. Something like this, however, does show us a bit, or an aspect, I would say, of the online disinhibition effect, or whatever it's called. But basically, the idea is, when people are online and they can't see the ramifications for their actions, they don't care. This guy, 51 charges related to swatting? Someone's dead now. Why? Over $1. $1.50. $1.50 bet in a video game, and an innocent person was killed. These people are insane. U.S. District Judge Eric Melgren sentenced Tyler R. Barris, 26, under a deal in which he pleaded guilty in November to a total of 51 federal charges related to fake calls and threats. The plea agreement called for a sentence of at least 20 years, well over the 10-year recommended under sentencing guidelines. Prosecutors believe it is the longest prison sentence ever imposed for the practice of swatting. Good. As far as I'm concerned, swatting is attempted murder. Why else would you send armed police in tactical gear in panic mode to someone's home unless you're hoping they shoot somebody? They call it a form of retaliation in which someone reports a false emergency to get authorities, particularly a SWAT team, to descend on an address. Melgren said the case went into uncharted legal territory, that the law has not caught up with technology, and the charges didn't address the severity of what happened. The 2017 death of 28-year-old Andrew Finch drew national attention to swatting, but Barris had made dozens of such calls before that and was known as the guy on Twitter that is good at this, his attorney Richard Federico said. Authorities say an Ohio gamer recruited Barris to swat a Wichita gamer, but that the address they used was old, leading police to Finch, who was not involved in the video game or the dispute. Barris called Wichita police from Los Angeles on December 20th, 2017, to falsely report a shooting and kidnapping at the Wichita address. Finch answered the door, and an officer shot the unarmed man. Barris apologized to Finch's family on Friday, saying he takes full responsibility for what happened. If I could take it back, I would, but there is nothing I can do, Barris told the court. I am so sorry for that. It was only a matter of time until something like this happened. And I gotta say, I am surprised as hell. Innocent gamers who are actually targeted don't end up facing the brunt of this. Here's what's so damn terrifying is the boy who cried wolf. I have had to go to my local police department and talk to them about this. And I have to arrange formal agreements and understandings with different law enforcement agencies because of the risks imposed from the ability of lunatics in the middle of nowhere to do this. Here's the problem. I also at the same time have to contend with the fact that there actually are insane people who send me death threats. If somebody swats somebody else because they're high profile on Twitch or whatever, and these people have to tell the police, heads up, this might happen again. What happens when the actual crazy person actually shows up and actually starts shooting? And the police think, it's just a false alarm. These things happen all the time. And instead of sending a SWAT team, they send a patrol car who show up, hostage situation, and people get hurt. This is dangerous no matter how it's implemented. But I'll tell you what's worse. You might want to point out that, yeah, these are people in America, but what happens when it's someone in Russia? What happens when it's someone in a foreign country who isn't going to get caught or whose government won't care and won't extradite? What happens if it's someone in China? Federico described Barris as a loner who found solace in the gaming community as he became a serial swatter. His best friend is someone he knows only online, Federico said. His father died when he was young and his mother abandoned him. Outside the courthouse, Finch's sister, Donamica Finch, said Barris got what he deserved, but that she also wants to see police held accountable. For what? Finch's family has sued the city of Wichita and the officers involved. Police have said the officer who shot Finch thought he was reaching for a gun because he moved a hand towards his waistband. Prosecutors declined to charge the officer. In any other circumstance, I would actually say there should be a lawsuit or some accountability on the police, not because the police are doing anything wrong when they panic and they kill somebody. I think that's a problem. I think police need to be trained, and we absolutely need to do something about accidental deaths, 100%. But in this circumstance, they were told there was, a kidnapping and a hostage situation? And so the cops are panicking. They see a dude. They can only assume the report is true. In my opinion, the police were not at fault in any way from this. Because if the police showed up for any other reason on their own volition and did this, okay, I would say the police are, should be more responsible. Unfortunately, what can the family do? They just lost, I don't know to what extent, if he was a father, I'm not sure. How are they going to survive without that support? This guy, Barris, he apparently doesn't have anything. So, you often see things like this, and I mean no disrespect to the family, but they're going to go for the police because the police are the one who have the resources, the community. They say, Sedgwick County District Officer Mark Bennett defended that decision. I am very much sympathetic to the Finch family, but at the end of the day, my determination has to be with what the law in what the law allows. Barris's prosecution in Wichita consolidated other federal cases that had been filed against him in California and the District of Columbia involving similar calls and threats. Bennett also said Friday that he would dismiss state charges, including involuntary manslaughter, because Barris would be getting more prison time from the federal charges than he could get in state court. The FBI recognized swatting as an emerging threat as early as 2008, noting it had become commonplace among gamers. And it typically starts to emerge with spoofing technology. So I believe, my understanding is this kind of tech has been around for a really long time, where you could put in a fake phone number, and then when I call, so I can call you right now, and your mother, it'll pop up and say mom. So what you do is, there's a bunch of different technologies that allow this, which I won't be going through because it is really easy and it's really dangerous, where all you do is you tell them what you want your phone number to look like, and they can make any number appear on your phone. So here's the thing. The way most phones work, whatever number comes in, they associate with your phone book. If you save a phone number as mom, and then I call with that number, the phone just says it's mom. So you will see your phone saying, mom is calling me. Now imagine what happens when they do the same thing but with the police. Then they say, oh, X, Y, and Z is happening. The police are like, yep, that's the phone number associated with that address and that person. It's legit. Let's read on. We hope that this will send a strong message about swatting, which is a juvenile and senseless practice. Okay, I see what they're saying, but this is way worse than that. I'll get into that in a second. U.S. Attorney Stephen McAllister told reporters, we'd like to put an end to it within the gaming community and in any other contact. Swatting, as I've said before, is not a prank. It's definitely not. The intended target in Wichita, Shane Gaskill, 20, and the man who allegedly recruited Barris, Casey Viner, 19, of North College Hill, Ohio, are charged as co-conspirators. Authorities say Viner provided Barris with an address for Gaskill that Gaskill had previously given to Viner. Authorities also say that when Gaskill noticed Barris was following on Twitter, he gave Barris that old address and taunted him to try something, and they probably thought they wouldn't get in trouble. Viner and Gaskill pleaded not guilty to charges including conspiracy to obstruct justice, wire fraud, and other counts. Viner has notified the court he intends to change that plea at a hearing scheduled for Wednesday. Gaskill's trial has been delayed to April 23 amid plea talks with federal prosecutors. They called it juvenile. Look, if you want to criticize the practice as being juvenile, I understand what you're saying. But this is not just juvenile. This is actually a weapon of international recognition. As I mentioned, what happens if someone's in Russia? This has happened. There are security researchers and journalists who have had Russians in Russia call local police, pretend to be a criminal, and get people in America swatted. And do you think Russia is going to do anything about it? Of course not. Why would they? They don't care. They're not going to extradite a Russian citizen to the U.S. We don't like each other for the most part. There's a lot of international conflict going on. So to a certain extent, there's a benefit. When these journalists in the U.S. report on what the Russian carders and hackers are doing, the Russians retaliate with swatting. Why would Russia get involved in something that is taking resources from the U.S. and giving it to their citizens? Unless someone from the U.S. in law enforcement or in the government approaches them to do so, which may be the case. The point I'm trying to say is swatting is not just some simple prank. It's used by high-profile and dangerous people for nefarious reasons. So it's tough, but I'm definitely glad to see somebody is, I never like the idea of people being made an example of. We shouldn't give someone more prison time because we want to scare people. But I will say swatting is serious, and it is good to see that these people are being caught when it happens. I'll leave it there. Stick around. I got more videos coming for you starting tomorrow. I will see you at 10 a.m.